Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And our show is about inspiration, motivation, and developing the mindset to live a happy and abundant life.
We're live every Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. If you guys would like to join us on the show live every single week, make sure you subscribe to the show. There's a link down here. It's to subscribe at bit.ly/AAV subscribe. And you'll get reminders each time when we are here on our show, Awaken Your Spirit. Well, today on the show, we are going to be joined by our special guest, Donna McGrath, spiritual mediums, teacher, author, speaker, and she's going to be sharing her stories and her experience with miracle healings from the other side. So you want to stay tuned. But before we bring her into the show today, we always like to start off with the first segment of our show, which is the inspirational moment with Veronica.
So inspirational moments is when I like to read something inspirational. And today I have a little reading from this book, and it's from Dr. Wayne Dyer, and it's called Manifest Your Destiny, the 9 Spiritual Principles for Getting Everything You Want. And it's an older book. You can tell by the picture. So that's the book. And it says, most of us in the West have been taught that the center of our wisdom is in our heads. If you ask people where their ability to process thought and experience is, they will generally respond that it is in the brain. Ask consciously spiritual persons the same question, and they will indicate the heart. When the mind seeks corroboration through specific proofs as an aid to spiritual understanding, it is encroaching into an area far more suited to the heart. For this reason, it is necessary to trust what the heart knows. Without total trust, it is impossible to know the miracles of the higher self and become a manifester. Spiritual life does not grow in the soil of intellectual information gathering. Spirituality needs the fertile ground of feelings, which the unseen dimension provides. Trusting your heart space is imperative for the growth of a healthy spiritual life. Ooh, I like that.
Oh, I do like that. It's interesting. For where that book came from for us was a mentor of mine that I just had happened to reconnect with a few months ago and hadn't seen him in years. And we were just on a different path for so long. And it was interesting to see that we were kind of in the same space and where things that we wanted to do in our lives, what we wanted to create. And one thing he recommended was when he graduated from school, his mentor recommended that book to him, and he had recommended it to me, and we had gotten it. And it's such an interesting read. And it just, we do have those feelings. We talk a lot about emotions and how we attract things here into our life. And we have to pay attention to how we feel. It's that intuition, that gut feeling that we all have. And sometimes we need to trust those feelings.
Yeah.
Well, most of the times. Only sometimes. All the time. As much as we can, right?
As much as possible.
So if you guys enjoyed the inspirational moment for today, give us your hearts, give us some likes. Make sure you guys can subscribe here to the show. You can subscribe to the page, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, and you guys will never miss an episode here on Awakening Your Spirit. And also, if you know that there's anybody that can benefit from the message here today, make sure you share the show, because we never know who this message is going to impact.
So if you missed the book, I'm going to show it again, and it's from Dr. Wayne Dyer. And it's called Manifest Your Destiny, the 9 Spiritual Principles for Getting Everything You Want. There's the book again. And it's a small book, and it's an older book. I forgot when it was printed, but
it's been a while. So I think maybe sometime in the 80s, I believe that one came out.
Yeah, but it's a great book, and a lot of great information here. All right.
So we have a few people that are joining in with us here today. If you guys are watching us live, I want to say hello to Rachel Johnson, who's saying hi. Welcome, hi, Rachel, to the show.
Good morning.
Tiffany Cook is here, says, good morning.
Good morning, Tiffany.
Says a happy new moon to all.
Ooh, it's a new moon tonight.
It is a new moon tonight. Wow. And so here we got a lot of things that are really taking place here on the show. And if you guys have been following us for the last few years now, we are expanding. And so what you're going to see here in the next coming weeks is you're going to see us on many different areas. Right now, we've been focused on Facebook. Today is our first day that we are live on YouTube as well. And so if you have not done so, make sure you go subscribe to our YouTube, Aaron and Veronica on YouTube. And soon to come, you're going to see us on a few different networks, but we're going to let you know when that happens. So make sure you guys follow us, subscribe to the show, because we're always expanding, always growing, because we want to be able to share our message with as many people as possible.
Yeah. And, it's interesting how you talk about manifesting and how things work. Aaron and I have been talking like, how can we reach more people? How can we expand? And then, this opportunity came, and now we'll share that later with you in the next following weeks. But we got this opportunity, and we're like, wow, like that's awesome.
Yeah,
so that's how it works.
And because we're always here about growth, and we talk about awakening your spirit. And what is awakening your spirit for those who are new to the show? It's about really, bringing out that true essence of you on the deeper level, the part of you that wants to create, that wants to do more, that knows that, hey, I am capable of being something greater, of helping more people, being a big impact in the world. And what does that look like? And knowing that we can create whatever it is that we want in our life, but we have to be able to understand how those principles work. Mm-hmm. We have to learn how to tune into our thoughts, our intuition, our feelings. And that's the things that we share here on this show.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, a lot of us, when we're first brought into this world, it's maybe we lose like that. We lose track of where we came from, or we forget, and we get clouded by things that happen to us and all the traumas and everything with life. And sometimes it's like we forget, and we're on this journey to find our way back. And that's the beauty of it, that we all, we're all on our own journey to, individually, but we're all together kind of aiming for the same thing in a sense.
Absolutely. And just by understanding these concepts, we were reading the Manifest Your Destiny mm-hmm. from Wayne Dyer, and it's things that we've even used in our life to help create. No matter where we are, it's about how we feel and how we enjoy the process of that growth.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of us may get frustrated. You might get detoured from where your path is. Why am I not seeing the results in my life today? And part of that is, we have to understand what it is that we truly want. Mm-hmm. And then as we get there, we're growing in the process. And when we're growing in that process, we are becoming someone completely different to be able to attract that thing that we want, whether it's, more abundance of income. Maybe it's a new career. You want to do something you really love. Maybe you want to have a happy relationship in your life, or it could even be great health. Whatever mm-hmm. that is, we can all manifest that, but we have to learn these processes.
Yeah. And I know for myself, like I've grown so much, from year after year, and I'm not the same person I was like 10, 20 years ago, even 5 years ago or last year. Like we're continually growing, and the more we seek and learn, it's like we change as a person, and our mindset changes. Because I know for me, when like growing up, my mindset wasn't that great because of things that were taught to me and things that I was observing and what I was learning at home, even out in public with just society itself. And I was always someone to observe a lot and question. And I sometimes didn't question my parents, but in my mind I would question it, and if it didn't make sense, I didn't truly trust in it or believe in it. So I got in trouble a lot.
And that creates things with trust, right?
Yeah.
And it's I don't have a voice, and I can't speak out because of what other people are going to say. And how many of you have maybe experienced something similar, where if you try to say something and someone criticizes that, and like, well, I'm just not going to say anything, or it's not good for me to speak. And then what happens is we don't share our voice. We don't share our message to the world. Mm-hmm. And that becomes things that we carry throughout life.
Yeah. And
I'm so glad that we've been able to work through that with you, because if she had not, we would not be here with you guys today.
Yeah.
And Tiffany says, I want it all.
Don't we all know? So, today we have a very special guest, and I'm going to read to you her bio so you can get to know her a little bit. So our special guest today is Donna McGrath, and she's a certified medical technologist and former NIH scientist and molecular biologist who was invited to the White House under Ronald Reagan for her groundbreaking work on sickle cell anemia. And she was featured in Time, Newsweek, API, UPI, and the New England Journal of Medicine. Following a 1994 life-altering out-of-body journey to Enlightenment experience, She was gifted with the ability to communicate and facilitate miracle healings from the other side. Can't wait to hear about that. As seen on CNN, she's a master energy healer and medical medium who performs individual client sessions at Body, Mind, Spirit Expos worldwide. She's a motivational speaker, author, and spiritual teacher who has used her uniquely channeled meditations from the divine to work with audiences and over 50,000 individual clients. Let's welcome to the show, Donna McGrath. Hi, Donna.
Hey, Donna.
Can you hear us? I don't know if she can hear us.
I don't know.
Is she frozen?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great.
Veronica?
Hi, Donna.
Yes, yes. I can.
You can hear us well?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a lag, but it's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you fine,
Yes.
so you're good.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today. It's like a 3-second.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so Donna, tell us about that.
Thank you, Erin. How are you?
I'm doing great. So we'll do like a 5-second pause for questions.
Okay. So yeah, tell us about your ride experience.
Okay. In 1994, after I had a number of tragedies in my family, my 5-year-old nephew had a tragic car accident, and my aunt was brutally murdered. So these incidences led me to go inward and to seek meditation and to, ask deep questions about life. And so I joined a meditation group, and I did some, and within about 6 months, I was reading the book, The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield, on my living room couch. And I was reading from 9 o'clock at night until 4 o'clock in the morning. And when at 4 o'clock in the morning, I put the book down to stretch, and I learned all of the insights in the book. And I was near the end of the book, and I put it down to stretch. And I heard a voice, and the voice said, you thought you knew so much: molecular biology, biochemistry, immunology, and all these different ologies, and all you know would fit on one grain of sand on this beach. And so I saw this vision on the beach, this stretched to eternity, and one piece of sand was taken out. So I was humbled. And after that, I was looking around the house. I noticed that the light was everywhere, and it wasn't going away. So I kind of looked behind me to the right side, and I noticed that there was a tunnel going out to space. And so I went and I looked at it, and I said, oh, I'd like to go and see what's out there. And as soon as I made that intention, I was out of my body. And I'm going to make this short because I could really go into it. It was a very detailed out-of-body experience. But I went through the light. I went away from the planet. I went to the magnetic grid of the planet, and then magnetic grid of the planet. And at that point, it's the mental realm of there's all these points of consciousness, like Mozart and Beethoven and Tesla and Einstein and all the high thinkers of the world. And I was having experiences. I was getting knowledge. It was a download of knowledge regarding everything. And so I was thrilled, actually. Just a second. I have to make a little cough over here.
No worries.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll mute you.
Okay. So at any rate,
there's a little delay here on the computer. There we go.
I'm all right. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
So at
There's a
any
little
rate,
delay here on the computer.
yeah, there was just a little something. Okay. So at any rate, I had this wonderful exchange of knowledge, and the realization was at that point that we give and get an experience. Right now we're talking, right? And so we're giving love, we're exchanging love. It's an opportunity to exchange love and knowledge.
Sana, you're glitching.
most so these higher thinkers. And then I just continued. Yeah, like it just, I don't know. Can you hear?
Yeah, it's just like a little glitchy in and out. I think it's just more like an internet connection. That's all it is.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm hardwired over here, so
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, you're good now.
Through what I would call a black hole. Okay, I'm all right now? Okay, so I went through a black hole and I went from a galaxy. It was like an Enterprise trip. And I saw billions and billions of stars. I would call the light, and the light was huge, and it was right next to me, and the light basically was the light of God.
Wow.
And the light said to stop, and said, now I will show you everything from Alpha to Omega to end. With the end of time, which there is no end of time, but it was sort of the Big Bang. And then I was asked if I had any other questions, and I said, yes, I'd like to know what diseases is. And I was downloaded with a series of sacred geometric figures, the Flower of Life sacred geometry, and then I was sent back. So the experience took about 4 hours, and because I asked at the end, I said, how long did that take? And the light, 4 hours, 4 seconds, and the twinkling of an eye. So I was back. And then after I do healing, that's a very short story, but 80.
Yeah, but now it's
I didn't have to sleep, and I had the ability to absorb knowledge from books.
Wow.
Okay.
That's very interesting.
So I read about 4,000 world religion, and yeah, I just basically I didn't. Yeah. So go ahead, Aaron. Ask me anything you want.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make sure when I say it, because I know it's gonna be about maybe like 5 seconds before you get my answer. So I'll just like say one word. So when you're going
connection here going.
So when you're going through that outer body.
Can you say something, somebody?
She can't hear.
It's very sketchy.
How about Donna, I don't know if would she be able to pop out and come back in with that?
She might be, but it could just be an internet connection. That's what the issue I believe is. We can always retry it.
So Tiffany said it cuts out like at the most important parts.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
So I kind of recap what I've heard, and Donna, let me know if you're able to hear us. Is she's having this outer body experience, and
okay, I can hear you.
Perfect. And then you're being downloaded all this information, and just be able to see everything from a higher consciousness. What did that feel like to go through that experience?
I was in a very, very high feel experience. It would be like a vivid dream, but it was very real. It was, that's the only thing I could say as far as feeling goes.
Okay.
I also left my body on the living room couch, and I know that when I first went out of my body, I looked at my body from the left shoulder, and I didn't care about my full body at all, any difference. And so, that part of the experience was an out-of-body experience. A lot of people that have near-death experiences experience that same thing, in the emergency room and they get resuscitated and they're kind of above their, just inconsequential, you know, because what really lives on and goes on is your consciousness.
Okay.
So you do keep that consciousness this was a totally conscious out of body experience the whole time.
That's awesome. So Donna, I have a question about the sacred geometry.
Sometimes it's not conscious, but I remember everything vividly, to this day. Yeah.
So the sacred geometry, for those watching, if they don't understand what that is, can you explain a little more about that?
Okay. I can hear you, but you said say. It's about, I saw the Flower of Life sacred geometry, and I don't know if you're familiar with the symbol. Actually, that is what substantiated my experience to me. So when I came back, I was given this, so when I was there, I was given this Flower of Life sacred geometry. Actually, and I found that was emblazoned in rocks and stones in sacred sites around the world. You saw me there. But it was in sacred sites around the world. So it's in Egypt, it's in India, it's in various different sacred. And what it looks like is it's the Flower of Life sacred geometry. So basically, this whole dimension is all made up of, if you look around at the room, it's made up of circles and lines. Okay, so the line would be, if you took a sperm and you stretched it out, it would be a line, and then there's a circle, which would be the egg. And our whole dimension here in the third dimension is basically, if you look at the ceiling or anything like that, it's made up of lines and circles. And behind that is just basically our whole dimension is made up of mathematics. So that's really, what does it really mean? It just, if you stare at these symbols, these are ancient mantras, and in India there's something called the Sri Yantra, and then there's the Flower of Life sacred geometry. If you actually stare at those figures, the Flower of Life holds the information, knowledge, universe. So back in the time of Socrates and Plato, they would stare at these objects, like they would stare at a circle or a sphere or a square, and for hours and hours and days and days and days, and then they would come back to the teacher, and the teacher would ask, "What did you learn from doing that?" And so they would meditate on these various different geometric figures and come back with different philosophies and ideas.
Ooh, so that's really interesting.
For instance, like a triangle is basically a symbol, and a circle is the divine feminine circle. The Flower of Life sacred geometry is like an egg. And so when in the actual experience, the one circle showed up like mitosis, and then it just began to change and form and morph, and then it turned into the Flower of Life sacred geometry. So basically, it was cellular division, and that's what happens. That's the essence of creation, and it's the geometry behind mitosis.
Interesting. So,
okay,
here's my next question, and I'm just going to give it a little.
Do you have any other questions?
Yes, I do. I'm just giving a little second for her to catch up so she can hear.
Do you hear me, Veronica?
Yes.
I'm trying to count how long. Yeah. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So my question would be, so after all of this experience,
I hope this is live streaming.
oh, it is. We're everywhere right now. So you've had this experience, and what were you,
Okay, that's
the
fine.
aftermath when you came back to, we call this reality?
Yes.
What were you able to do? What was the result of all of that for you?
Excuse me? I couldn't hear you.
Okay, so my question is, so when you've had this outer body experience, you experienced all these sacred geometry, is what was that able to allow you to do when you came back to this?
Yes, well, after that, as I said, I didn't have to eat and I didn't have to sleep for 3 months because I was vibrating at such a high level.
So we're just getting a little bit of delay.
It was to understand everything at the whole reality at a deeper level. So these symbols, they contain knowledge. Okay, so then it was almost like the symbols were given to me, and then when I came back, I read all of the sacred books, or Bible, the Bible, the Upanishads, the Vedas, all of the sacred texts.
Really bad.
Almost like it was a download of information, and then down to the planet and hunt and peck and find the.
You're cutting in and out a little bit.
So that led to all of these books, and I was very. The energy is called absorption. Before I had the experience, I would say I was I worked as a PhD level at the NIH, and I was able to absorb a lot of information, and I was working at a high level intellectually. But to really understand a larger scope of information, the light experience allowed my brain to work a lot faster and absorb information.
We lost you just for a second. I think you froze there on your computer, Donna.
Worked at the health food store. I was led to, when I decided to the store, because I only eat organic vegetables and things like that. So I was led down to the health food store, and when I walked in, I was able also to hear my inner voice and my guidance very clearly. So I was told to, that's good, that's better. I was told to, that they hired me at the health food store within 5 minutes. And so I worked at the health food store, and when the people, are you there?
Yeah, it's.
Did you want me to repeat that?
Yeah, because it started to crackle a little.
Yeah.
Aaron?
Yeah,
I didn't hear you.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Just not us. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can hear her. So
Well, at any rate, Aaron, I worked at the health food store, and I was given the ability to, when people walked in, I could read. Yes. Yes, but say something. ask me a question.
We could hear you now.
So what I'm hearing
Okay.
is
So do you want me to go on? Okay.
Yeah, go.
I don't know if I can talk fast or not because it crackles. I don't know if I should pause or have a stream of consciousness here. But at any rate, I worked in the health food store, and when people came in, I was able to read them, and I could see what they would need. And if they asked me a question like, "Have eczema? What for my problem?" I was able to absorb the information of all of the 72,000 at the health food store, and I could recommend products.
Now we can't hear you.
Nope,
What you're hearing is what, Aaron? I couldn't hear you.
you're just a little cut
Aaron?
off. There is about right now, I'm looking about maybe like a 15-second delay from what we say to what you hear.
Well, I was able to read people when they came into the health food store, and for what their condition was. So I would say you need 2 of these and 3 of these and 4 of these, and you'll be fine in 2 days. And so almost everybody was. And so I thought it was a part-time job at the health food store. And it turned out to be, I worked there for 10 years on and off.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I just enjoyed it. And
yeah, so what you guys are hearing right now is
okay.
the delay that we're getting when she hears.
All right. So when I was able to see people, and I could read them, and whenever they asked me questions, the substances or the actual custom remedy that they would need for their condition. So if someone would come in and have like the flu and I would, okay, which is a homeopathic remedy for flu too, but they might need a different substance.
So what Donna is talking about is her experience at the health food store.
Different remedies for viruses.
There she goes.
There are these that work very well for viruses. So can you? Okay.
Really bad.
So
should we try using?
Is a
Maybe
is basically has clinical that evidence of that in the original of Black Elderberry by Sambucus. There's an amino acid called L-lysine, which has been used for years and years for
yeah. It's really glitchy here on our end, Donna, and you pause for like a long time, and then I don't think you even hear us for about maybe 20 to 30 seconds, at least what I see on my end. How are you guys in the audience? Are you able to hear anything, or has it been glitchy for you guys too? Steven says
it's glitchy.
It's been really glitchy right now, and it seems like we lost Donna for just a moment.
I think what we should do is pre-record, because this is such a great story.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated right now. Aren't you guys fascinated by the story? We just want to be able to hear it.
How about we pre-record another interview with Donna, because it's such great information, and it's very intriguing, and I would love to have her, be able to share the entire story without all these glitches, because it's very hard to hear.
Yeah.
We can pre-record and then post it later. That way it's clear, and you can see, you can see and hear her, at the same time, because it's really hard to keep up with the feed.
And I think she dropped out of the feed right now. So usually this is what happens when we go live. There's internet connections. Everybody's online right now, and so there's a lot of feed that's going on, and sometimes internets go out. Here's what's fascinating. I find every time we've had episodes, when we start talking about the other side and light and energy, there's always been some type of a glitch.
Yeah.
Our audio's gone out before we start talking about this, or we get kicked out. Other people get kicked out. I find it very fascinating when that happens.
Yeah, and I know that especially with all these energy sources here, like the lights and the internet, it's almost like it's maybe trying to communicate, or it's taking the energy from that, and it causes glitches, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, and Sherry says the same thing. Even she's had to go through Zoom. And we've done that through a few episodes that we've done with interviewees who just, they couldn't connect with us here on our live platform. So we've done a pre-recording through our Zoom, and we were able to at least share their message. And we're going to do that for you guys, for Donna, and we'll post it up here on Facebook and also on our YouTube page for everybody to be able to experience that.
Yeah. So what Donna was talking about, it was that she worked at the health food store, and she was able to see somebody's aura, and she was able to know exactly what they needed for the condition that they were experiencing. Like, she could see everything that was going on with them. And a story that she shared with me was that someone came in and she already knew what they needed. So she grabbed it, put it by the register, and then when they came up to her, she already had it there waiting for them, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" But her story's amazing, and we could try to bring her on and see if it's more clear.
I see the same thing.
It's still glitchy, but Donna's in the waiting room. But what we were telling the audience is that we're gonna record, pre-record, and then share the pre-recorded video. That way, it's not glitchy. Because Donna's story is so amazing, and it needs to be heard. So we'll do that for you guys, and we'll share that once it's up and running. But we'll see if Donna has time today. If not, we'll schedule another day to bring her on.
Absolutely.
And we'll do it pre-recorded. That way you guys can hear all her amazing stories.
I know a few people have been commenting that, it's like, oh my God, I want to hear the story. And yes, we do too. And I was like, oh man, we just want to be able to hear it. So I love the message. And every time we talk to Donna, it's just been a wealth of knowledge. We got a chance to meet her. It was late last year. We were at the filming of The World's Greatest Motivators. And that's where we had an opportunity to connect with her. And just since then, we did some interviews with her on just to get her experience of the event. And it's just nice that we get a chance to talk with her. We're on opposite sides of the country. She's East Coast, we're West Coast. So again, what we'll do for you guys, we're going to pre-record that so you guys can hear everything.
Yeah, Tiffany, she says, I want to hear again how it all happened.
So good news, Donna. People they still want to hear it. And so we're going to bring that back. And even Sherry says, perfect. That way we get that out to you guys. And we'll let you know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Lightstream Studio says, we got comments from here on YouTube. The internet is on overload with everyone working from home and doing school from home. The whole country is bogging down. I'm just glad we don't get kicked out. So we're putting so much good energy to make sure that we don't get kicked out of the internet either.
Yeah. So some of just to kind of recap of what Donna was saying is when she had this light experience in 1994, it was like she was taken to see like these other things. Like she went into the light and kind of went out of her body, and she got to experience like all these different things, and she saw the sacred geometry. And it's interesting because I've seen that before. And I told you one time when I woke up in the morning and I saw all these circles and lines and everything was connected.
You've seen that multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. And I just thought it was very interesting. So we'll definitely talk to Donna more a little bit about that. And she also got the ability to be able to read people and to know exactly what's going on. And that's how she's able to heal people, is because she knows exactly what to give them. And she uses the flower essences as well.
It's very fascinating. Tiffany says, did she say it started with a black hole, as in the unknown? It was a little glitchy at that part, so I want to go back and ask that question because I was so fascinated. I wanted to know the experience.
Yeah.
Because I think it's something that those things that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to experience, and like we want to know, like, wow, what's that like?
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to bring her on for you guys. And she also says, I want to hear it again and how it all happened.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that it's all clear, because at least we spiced it up for you guys. it reminds me of like like pay-per-view fights when like we're gonna suspense it up, and
we only give you a little bit of it.
We're bringing you in more, right? We're gonna bring it in when we put this out to the bigger audience here. And so it's like, if you guys are like you're thirsty for more, we're gonna give it to you. So I can't wait to hear all about it.
Yeah.
She says.
Yeah, it's gonna be neat when we have her, and that way you guys can hear her whole story and without any glitching. And so we'll bring that to you guys.
So I'm glad you're thirsty for more. You want more from it.
So if anyone in the audience has had any experiences, maybe out of body, maybe near death, put it in the comments and let us know like what happened. And like I'll start. I had a couple near deaths when I was 2 years old, 3 years old, maybe even after that. So I drowned when I was little. And it's interesting, like when Donna mentioned the light, like going into the light, I remember being underneath the water, the pool, and seeing a light. And there was, a time where I just like blacked out. But and then looking back at what happened, it's like I could see everything happening from above, and seeing my dad like turn me around and kind of tapping my back and trying to get the water out. And it's very interesting how things like that happen. And I know there's some people that we know that have had experiences, but for Donna, I think because she was going through such a traumatic time with, she said her aunt died.
I think her aunt was murdered.
Or her aunt was murdered, but also I think it was her aunt's son as well that passed away, or I'm not sure if it's the same one.
We'll find out in the replay.
Yeah, but we'll let her share that, and then that's when like the experiences started, when she was reading the Celestine prophecy. That's what she mentioned earlier. So I would like to know more in detail what happened throughout that.
What's fascinating? I hear so much about this book, and we still haven't read it yet.
We haven't.
It's not even here on our shelf at all.
So that's on our list. We
checked one out in the library. It was part of that series, but it wasn't that book. Mm-hmm. And it keeps slipping us by because we have so much material to go through. Yeah. And it's hard to get through it all.
So let's go to some of the comments here.
So Sherry says 2 near-death experiences. Interesting. Lightstream Studio says they're laughing. Half my family has been struck by lightning, including me.
Is it Lightstream, or is that how you named Lightstream?
Interesting. It reminds me of that movie. If you guys ever saw the movie The Great Outdoors with John Candy, and there's that guy that's talking. He has that stutter, and they're trying to understand. Like I got struck by lightning. And he's like, "How many times have you been struck by lightning?" He's like, 6 times. So he's like, 6 times. And he's like, "No, 66 times."
Oh my God.
This guy had been struck by lightning. Very funny moment in the movie, but that just brought up that memory for me.
Oh my gosh.
Sherry says, 1997 was my first NDE, which is near-death experience. Shown everything over, all the purposes I came in this lifetime for. Shown why we are all here, that we contract with each other, and so much more.
Oh, interesting. So it's like when you meet someone, it's almost like you probably have a contract with that person, and maybe there's something that needs to be healed in that energy or relationship. That's interesting. And I think that's what Donna was talking about earlier as well. Like everything is shown to you.
It's like, here's how we're going to meet. This is what's going to happen. Sign here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we learn the lessons, right? So also Lightstream says Donna has presented at some of our shows.
Awesome.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. I know Donna has been in different shows and events. So yeah, it's unfortunate that we couldn't hear her that good, but we will make it up and we'll bring her back as pre-recorded so you guys can hear everything clear.
Sherry says with the contracts, yep, good and bad.
Yeah.
And I do believe that. I believe that we come here for a purpose. Some people think that they were just sent here and they say, oh, I didn't want to be here.
They didn't ask to be here.
But part of us really did.
Yeah.
Through our consciousness are wanting to be here and attached to this, call it the third dimension, this physical world. And there's a path. There's a reason why we go and do things that we do. There's a reason why people show up into our life, good or bad, like Sherry said. And as part of it, it's that learning, that journey that we're all here to do.
Yeah.
And we use our emotions, we use our intuition to help guide us in that. And then we just have to learn how to tune into that.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like when you get downloads of information. When I was 14 years old, something popped in my mind, like when you have a daughter, her name's going to be Violet. And I have a daughter now, and she's going to be 13 this weekend, and her name is Violet. And it's interesting. Like I was 14 at that time when I got that information. And then when I was going to have my daughter, trying to write out names, I only had one name, and it was Violet on the paper.
Interesting.
And I didn't know, sometimes like they'll mess up and like say you have a boy, but I only had on the girls' names Violet, and that was it. So that's very interesting, even like years later, because it was over 10 years after that.
Yeah.
It was like 15 or I don't know, 15, 17 years, something like that. But it was interesting to get that information. And so I tell her, I said, well, you gave me your name when I was younger, and this is what you wanted me to call you. And I said, you chose me to be your mom. And I'll tell her, oh, thank you for picking me to be your mom, and things like that. So. And
what's interesting too is, at least in my experience, being with you all these years and coming across people that are similar, that might have had near-death experiences, that can see things. And when I was in clinical practice, Veronica would be, if you guys haven't heard the story, she would sit there and be taking notes and helping me out with patients. And it was interesting because she would sit there and it's like she can feel what was going on in their body physically and emotionally. And then she'd say, go check this, either their shoulder or their jaw. I feel something in this area. And sure enough, it would be there and I would find it. And so I then understood that she was really intuitive and can feel things. I was like, that was really out of my realm at that time. I wasn't really involved in all of this stuff and concept. It was just, I see what I believe, and she could feel and believe it from there.
Yeah. And
I found that so fascinating. And I just re-experienced that over and over with Veronica. And you've helped me to develop part of that too, to that intuition of mine. And when it shows up and knowing like, why do I go and do these things? It's like that part of me just knows. Yeah. And I just pay attention to that now.
Yeah, it's amazing to see his growth, because when I first met him, like stuff like that was kind of weird to him.
So weird.
And I don't think he really, I think he was curious, but I don't know if he fully believed it. And like, it's like he had to see something first in order to believe it.
And that's a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Some people need to see something to believe it. And it's like when they see it, oh, then that's okay, I get it now. But when you can't see something, when it seems so esoteric, it's the unknown. It's that I don't know if that's even possible, or can we even do that? But how many times have our belief systems been changed based on somebody that had a belief in it and created it? Yeah. People didn't believe that we can fly planes or fly at all. People didn't believe that we would have video calls at one point like this. That would have been like, oh, you're crazy. Yeah. But look at us now. We're all doing it. We're in quarantine. Everybody's going to video conferencing, and you're going to just see so much technology that we can't even fathom in our mind right now. In the next 10 years, right now it seems normal, but 10 years ago, this was like, wow, I don't even think that's possible. Yeah.
So let's see. Sherry, she says, I was told we never have to worry, that all the right people show about at the right moment to help us move forward, good or bad. And that's true. Yeah. It's like we based on how we think and feel, we attract those people to us. And there is no need to worry at all.
Absolutely. And I think when we can have that concept, we just relax a bit more. Yeah. Everything's going to turn out exactly the way it's supposed to. And I think it's what creates more disharmony in our life is when we resist that. And when we get caught up in our fears, or, we get frustrated. Yeah. It's like things may not go the way we plan them to be, but it's not on our plan. And sometimes like things like today. It's like it doesn't happen the way
we didn't plan for
we
this.
didn't plan for it, but that was probably the way it was supposed to happen. And like I said,
I think it'll be better.
It's going to be even better because we get the pre-record, and that's happened a few times
now we can pre-record and even add maybe some of add like a little snip of of Donna doing her healing. So we'll ask her though.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
make sure.
We'll see.
Let's go to Sherry.
Sherry says, "We are here."
There you go. Up, Veronica.
"We are here to remember who we truly are as spiritual beings. We are infinite and unlimited. We have power beyond belief. We are the incarnated children, pieces of the I am. The same stuff. We have the same powers to the degree we believe and allow. The universe lives through us, within us, as us. We just have to get out of the way and allow. There are infinite avenues, channels, and opportunities for the how to be delivered."
Yeah, I find out I've always been in the way of myself. It's been as I'm just like, get out of the way, and like it's like that I was gonna say the cow, the cow on the road that just kind of sits there and doesn't want to move, and you're trying to push it. It's so stubborn. I would use the bull because I'm a Taurus, so the big bull, and it just doesn't want to move and stuck on the road. And when it gets off the road, it's like then we can move forward. And it's so fascinating when I do that. And I know I'm not the only one. You guys do it too. But when we learn to allow, and it's like, okay, come over here, get out of the way, and allow spirit to flow through you. And everything just works out perfectly. And it's like the sense of relief. I just feel it in my body when I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
But I love those because they are learning experiences. And when we have to pay attention to that. Yeah,
that awareness. So for those of you who want to check out what Donna's doing, she has an audiobook. She also has a meditation and a masterclass that she's doing. We can post let's post her website because that has all three. If you go to the top, it'll give you all the options. So it's DonnaMcGrath.com, and that's her website. You can, just click on that or go to that website. It's easy to remember. That's why we're going to just use this one.
Yeah. And she has on the top on the menu, there's a master class that she's holding that you guys can check out. That sounds very fascinating.
Yeah.
We'll learn more about that when we do our pre-recorded.
Yeah. Also, she has a meditation and her audiobook. So if you guys want to check that out. And I believe her audiobook is about, it was from, I think it was like corporate reality to spiritual.
You'll find that on the replay.
Yeah.
But what we'll do, if you guys want to know when that's going to be posted up, what you can do, you can subscribe here to the show. There's a link right here. You'll see it just under our name, which is a subscribe at bit.ly/AV subscribe. And what you'll get is it's our messenger bot. What you'll get reminders each time when we go live here on Facebook, or again, when we post this recording up here on Facebook and YouTube and soon to other platforms. But you guys will get inundated with all of our stuff and all of our information we have. But if you want to subscribe, just do that right there and, join us on this journey.
Yeah. And Sherry, she says, we all have been that way. No more. Live in the moment. The moment reveals how we are being. Then we can shift in the moment.
Absolutely.
Oh, we can shift that in the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've proven that many times, but sometimes I have to constantly remind myself. I know you do too, but you act like you don't. But it seems like she always throws me under the bus. But it's like the contract that we have is she's here to teach me, and
but you teach me as well.
We teach each other, right? Patience, everybody, patience, Padawan. And so we hope you guys have enjoyed this moment with us here on Awaken Your Spirit. Remember, we go live here 2 times a week on Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Make sure you subscribe to the show to join us each time. We will see you guys next week. And we hope you guys have enjoyed this. Stay tuned for the replay of the pre-recorded that we're going to do here with our guest, Donna McGrath. And thank you guys for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we're going to go back to Donna and see if she has time to do a pre-record now. If not, we'll schedule the time for that.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.